things are implemented, but I think the reason why LSF gets that reputation is because for a long time, I don't know if this is still the case, but the most popular posts were like, here's Alinity being fucking terrible, and then here's a clip of Alinity from a year ago still being terrible, and you'll have all of these like old clips piled on top of one another, targeting one person in particular, showing their worst moments, and then everyone in the comments is dogpiling it, and then maybe like 5 months down the line, the perception changes, and then everyone acts like, well, this is terrible. You know, no one should have ever said these things. We never did this. And then I wish people would stop generalizing LSF based on its top posts and stuff like that. So they get this reputation for being toxic and then pretending they weren't. And then they use that same line where it's like, it's a 900,000 person community. You can't target us based on a couple people, even though it's their top post, which means it's most representative of what people wanted, what
Yep.
people were vibing with.
So I do think that so going to like the vocal minority, I think that it's very common that a community can be influenced by a vocal minority. Like
Yeah,
in chat, you'll get a couple of real trolls who speak more. So I think that generally speaking, majorities tend to be silent, and that minorities can oftentimes be vocal. And so that is true, but I do think, just like you said though, Charlie, like I think that we can't hide behind that anymore because of things like when you upvote, right? Like when a post makes it to the top of live stream fails, that's not a vocal minority. That's the
exactly.
silent majority. That is the action of the silent majority. And so when that gets upvoted, that actually is representative of your community. And I think especially with some of these other, toxic communities, which I've recently learned about, right? So they're like, I recently discovered that they're like, there's kind of a funny meme story about this, but like someone mentioned Keemstar, and I didn't know that that was a person when I first heard it. I thought, because it's like a term, right? So like if you say Skynut, for example, like I'm assuming that that's just something that someone made up, right?
Right.
Like it's not like a because like, you just can't fucking tell. Like, is Moist Critical a person, or like it's just confusing? Anyway, so I think that there are like communities, right, where people create content that is geared towards attacking other people, and to be fair, those communities are gigantic and they get tons of viewership, which says to me that this is not an issue of a vocal minority, that there is actually a silent majority of people there. And oddly enough, I know this is going to sound weird. I think we have to be careful about judging them because I still don't know why these people upvote what they do. So there's just sort of this sense that we call all of these people toxic. And I'm sure that that's fair, but I tend to do my best to not judge an entire person based on a particular action. So I'm sure there are toxic people out there, but if you have like an attack video YouTube or whatever that has like 5 million subscribers, like that's not a vocal minority, right? That person's channel is successful because there's actually a lot of people out there who are experiencing a lot of something. And I personally am curious, like, what